So before I start my video, guys, you may not be aware, but I do actually have a Discord server. There's multiple chats in terms of team building, character ideas, transfers, that sort of thing. So if you want to join my Discord, the link to that will be in the description or on the top comment of this video. Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video, we're going to be taking a first look at S Class Willie, who is going to be a promo character coming into Road to Survival. Looking at Willie's get up in terms of how he actually looks pretty low-key. I kind of like this. I prefer subtlety personally over just like flamboyance. You know, the very early 6-star characters, for instance Tyrese, it was like so Larry, whereas this is a little bit more chill, and I kind of like that. He's just got that backwards baseball cap, jacket. He's looking great. There's nothing too over the top here. Now look at his stats, and he has got 3,903 attack, 4,215 defense, and 4,148 HP. His trait is strong, and his role is seen as a support. Very balanced stats, and generally speaking, on a support character, it means you can take them wherever you want them to go. If you want them to be more offensive, you can easily do that. You want to make them more defensive, you can easily do that. So having more balanced stats is always a good idea for these sort of characters. So far so good on the initial look. We'll take a look at his adrenaline rush. It is called Hampering Enigma. 66 AP cost, so pretty fast. Deal 300% damage to a line of enemies. Those enemies get 50% slow, 75% heal reduction, and daze for 2 turns. So I would say, you know, this has got 4 things going on it. While it has got quite a bit of damage, it's mainly a controlling rush. The damage isn't going to be too high. Even if you were to spike his attack stat up hugely with mods, attack leaders, and weapons, it's never going to be that high pretty much. Whereas the other half of the rush, it's got 50% slow, 75% heal reduction, and the daze for 2 turns. It's just like a lot of control. Now with the slow, that's good because he will rush before the enemy, so he will basically slow down the enemy's rushes by 1 turn. So for instance, he's going to rush on turn 2 command or 3 on natural on an attack team, and that means the enemy who would normally rush turn 3 would then have to rush turn 4 unless commanded. 75% heal reduction just means the enemies are going to have reduced amount of healing. So let's say someone was to heal someone for 1,000, it would now heal for 250, quite basic. The daze is the only one that isn't great, just because generally speaking, daze is really useful against characters who have got very early active skills. I guess it can be useful against characters like Kapoor, for instance. If you come up against a Kapoor, he does have his active turn 3. So if he isn't rushing, he's got quite a heavy heal, and you can block that with this rush. But otherwise, the daze is more of a bonus. I see this more with the slow just being like an AP down that is resistible. So the rush is okay. It will do it up to 2 enemies. Obviously, with it being a line, it means if you've got no 2 enemies in a line alive, it will be a single target rush, and that's the downside of it. But seeing as it is only 300%, you could most likely target like a payback character without having too much of an issue in terms of taking reflected damage. So the adrenaline rush, like I said, it's okay. It's got a lot of control in there, but that isn't the highlight part of this character. We'll move on to it, as it is the active skill, Infection and Crit Up. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, so that means you can do it turn 1 on an attack team, turn 1 on a defense team. A cooldown of 2, so that means you can do it every other turn as well, which is kind of crazy. Number of uses, 5. Now this is where it gets kind of crazy. Up to 4 enemies get 15% infection for 3 turns. This character gets 100 crit for 2 turns. Now infection, if you didn't realize, is a 100% guaranteed kill if a character does not heal the infection. The percentage of the infection is how much they have to heal. So here is 15%. So each character that gets infected by this will have to heal 15% of their total HP. So if a character's got 10,000 total HP, they'll have to heal 1,500, and then the infection disappears. If they do not do so, they will instantly die, take full amount of their HP as damage after 3 turns. Now while 15% isn't that high, there aren't too many healers around right now, and there are also great offensive combos that can go with Willie. For instance, Wang Fa, who has 100% heal reduction to 5 enemies for 3 turns. You do active skill of Willie turn 1, active skill of Wang Fa turn 2. Unless they resist the heal reduction, those characters are guaranteed to die. There's no healing potential there unless they can get heal reduction cleansed by an active skill or a rush, or even the infection cleansed by an active skill or a rush. Again, you can put in other characters to sort of combat that. Lao Po, for instance, on an attack team will just completely shut down rushes, active skills, everything. So the potential combo with characters like Willie, Wang Fa and Lao Po is going to be horrendous pretty much on attack teams, and I can kind of see this being quite a long-term new like bleed meta, because bleed is generally too slow, whereas this is a guaranteed turn 3 kill, and that's pretty much what normal rushes guarantee. If you have someone who's pretty strong like a Priya with Rampage, you're guaranteeing a lot of damage output on turn 3 as a minimum, because she can rush and those rampages can proc, whereas Willie is guaranteeing kills on that turn as long as you've got heal reduction in play. So the potential of Willie's active skill is immense. Now he does have a specialist skill as well. I kind of like Confounding. I don't think it's one of the like top tier ones, but it's actually kind of fun. It basically is a controlling specialist skill. It says, when this character performs a critical attack on a human enemy, that enemy will be confused for 1 turn. Confused characters will not use rushes or active skills and have a chance to attack a random teammate. So with the specialist skill, this means that Willie has the potential to control for 1 turn just by hitting somebody with his normal basic attacks. I can potentially see people alternating between his active skill and his specialist skill to get the job done, unless they're trying to block the active skills with daze. So suddenly this daze that I didn't think was that great initially is actually potentially good, because it can stop those turn 3 heavy heals, so it isn't actually as bad as I initially thought. So if you were to get 2 S Class Willies, you could infect an entire team turn 1 on attack, as long as you can ride it out for 3 turns in terms of huge amounts of damage output, and you could slow down the opposition's heals. If you had any control, I could see a nice little team coming together in terms of Willie, Lao Po, Wang Fa and potentially Frost, in terms of just having some extra controller for stopping rushes. If you slap a command in there as well to get Lao Po to rush turn 3, she's going to stop all those rushes that could do the heal potential, and that's a pretty nice combo. This is definitely my sort of character, and I can definitely see some healers coming out very soon, and heal reduction cleanse is definitely going to become a premium. Any character that has heal reduction removal will be very important on defense teams. Now when it comes to his weapon, he can hold whatever weapon you wish. He has not got an attached weapon. That means you can craft one of the new healing stun weapons. You can have it on one of the Lucille's with crit, or you can go with a more defensive option like one of the ores to make him more tanky. I definitely wouldn't raise his attack too much. He doesn't need anything in the way of attack. So the control potential on Willie is actually pretty good. Stun on attack, confounding specialist skill, all the controls on his rush when he does eventually rush, and his active skill has massive kill potential. This guy can be used on an attack team or a defense team. A lot of attack teams don't run healers, so this guy is going to become maybe really powerful on defense teams. One of the main downsides of this character though is he will do his active turn 1, and that means his rush will no longer be a turn 3 rush unless commanded. On a defense team, the best you can hope for by turn 3 is 56 AP behind the correct leader with the correct weapon, and on an attack team the best you can hope for is 40, so he will definitely have to be commanded to rush turn 3, and that's generally why I can see people just utilizing his specialist skill a lot more. You can make him have a really tanky weapon, forego that rush a little bit, and just rely heavily on that active skill potential. As a 6-star, his active is exactly the same, however it hits 2 enemies instead of 4, so it's still very powerful. Even as a 6-star, he can get the job done to a certain extent, although I think the 6-star will only work on an attack team most likely as well behind a shield. Even though you'd only have to make this character extremely defensive, no offensive output to get the best out of that active, he's still going to be a 6-star in the S Class era. Now if you were to pick up 2 6-stars, it would just be as powerful as having 1 S Class in terms of the amount of characters that he could infect. However, when it's 2 characters that can get infected, I'm not 100% certain if the second character, you can choose 1 character, but the second character that gets infected, it could potentially infect someone who's already got the infection on them. I'm not 100% certain there. Someone will have to confirm that for me. Anyone who's got like double Minerva, I do actually have 2 Minervas in beta, so I could probably test this out at some point. But characters that already got infection, as long as they can't get infected as well, 2 6-stars could definitely work. You just have to somehow keep them alive after that first turn if you want to get like full points in war, that sort of thing. But that is S Class Willie, guys. Do tell me what you think about this character as an S Class. What sort of team builds have you got in your mind instantly? That Wang Fa Lao Po combo just came into my head, and I was just like, this combination could be really good. Unfortunately for me, I only have Wang Fa in one of my regions, but I think I could probably work towards this guy eventually. It's going to be a long old while until he is made available. I don't think he is the 100% potential for me. I'm still waiting for AJ. I just want to see how good AJ is. But that is the end of my video today, guys. But like I said, do tell me what you think about Willie overall, his stat balance, his rush, his active skill, his specialist skill. What kind of weapon would you put in this guy's hands? There's going to be potential ideas here as well for the weapon. You could, like I said before, go for a Lucille. You could go for an Ore. Would you make this guy more defensive, or would you actually try and utilize his specialist skill a little bit more? He will be getting 100 crit from that active skill, so it's debatable whether he need crit on the weapon. You could put on his mods. There's so many things that you could do here. So do give me your thoughts. That is the end of my video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.